What's up, friends? Josh here with Runningscaredmotionpictures, and I'm beyond excited because today with me I have...
I'm Riley Cosby. I am a filmmaker from Westfield State University, and my production company / YouTube channel is called Cabbage Boy.
It will all be linked in the description below, so make sure you head over and subscribe and check his stuff out. Riley, I'm super excited to have you on because I guess it's the first real episode. The episode that just had me on, it was like episode 0. So with episode 1, I had Chris Ferry from the East Hampton Film Festival, and he said I had to talk to you, and that intrigued me because if Chris says high things about you, it's got to be good.
Well, Chris says high things about everyone. He will glaze like anyone he's talking to. But yeah, I was really excited because I know Lindsay. Lindsay goes to my school, and I was listening to the podcast for the first episode because I know Chris and I knew Lindsay was going to be on it, and then he just said my name, and I went, "What? Like, I guess he called me out." So I just wanted to see what you had going on here, and it's super impressive. So I just wanted to say hi.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to have you on again. Like, a big thing about me and what I like is I'm all about energy. I'm all about the passion. And the way Chris described you, he said you're like a wrecking ball. You've been turning through projects and hitting a lot of different genres and trying to do a lot of different things. So we're going to talk about a lot of different stuff, but let's kind of start from the beginning. What got you into filmmaking, and just kind of talk about your journey up until now?
Yeah, so I guess I started filmmaking 5 years ago. I had always been into like YouTube. I was a big like YouTube kid growing up, and I was like, oh, when I grow up, I'll probably just be like a YouTuber. So I tried like gaming, I tried Twitch streaming, I tried like sketch comedy, which was really bad. And my dad and I, what we loved to do, because I lived in Austin for a little bit of my life, and he was like, Riley, why don't you do like filmmaking? You love like movies and stuff. And I was like, I don't know. I don't think I have the money or the budget or anything. And he took me to this film festival called Otherworlds, which is a sci-fi horror film festival, it's directly across the street from Fantastic Fest. If you know what Fantastic Fest is.
I don't know.
It's like a really big genre festival in Texas. But I went there, and we watched this film called The Old Ways, which is on Netflix. And I got to meet the writer. And I don't know why, but like seeing normal people make movies and make incredible movies that like I resonate with and I thought were just so awesome. I was like, shoot, now I just want to do this. So I would keep on making like small videos on my iPhone. And then I promised myself, I was like, every semester, I am going to make a short film. So like my last 2 years of high school, I was just putting out like everything I could possibly do. So like my first short film was like a analog horror on my little iPhone. And then I made like a space opera that's 1950s inspired for some reason. That don't watch that one. That one's pretty bad. And then this is a big misconception about me is I'm not a film major. I am a communications major. And that was a kind of deal I had with my dad, because he's like, look, I love that you love film because I put you onto film, but you can't get a film major. Please get like something that like you can get paid with. And
I respect it. I do. Yeah. I think it's the right call.
So every semester I have just been like, I get out of class, I write a script, and I get it done. And I have jumped around, and I think Chris said this, I jump around a lot of genres because I don't think being stagnant and staying in one genre is effective. So like I went through this stretch of I made a cosmic horror Call of Cthulhu inspired horror movie called The Art of Descent that's all black and white, all noir inspired, all Twilight Zone inspired. And then immediately after that, I was like, okay, it's Valentine's Day's coming up. I should make a rom-com movie called Where Art Thou, which is like Shakespeare, but what if Jay and Silent Bob were in there? And that was nuts. And then after that, we made the anime one that he was talking about, Battle Angel, which we saw. I showed you the opening for that, and that we put a lot of work into that. And just recently in October, I filmed my zombie movie, which is very Shaun of the Dead inspired, called Mercy, Queen of the Undead. And it's just like bouncing around different genres and having fun with that. Yeah, I guess that's just my journey of like, it's just, well, what can I do better? I want to make the next one because I like the process and the cycle of figuring out how to make movies. I think it was like Robert Rodriguez is a huge inspiration for me, just because how he's always said, like, just pick up a camera, go out for the weekend, film a short film, edit it together, see what you like about it, see what you don't like about it, and then move on to the next one, you know, keep moving forward. And I I take that to heart a lot.
What was his book? Rebel Without a Crew, I think. Like
Yeah, Rebel Without a
he
Crew.
was big. Yeah, I read that he's big into like making movies for like less than $5,000 and just like he was a big get it fucking done kind of guy too. You
Yeah.
know, it was like very inspiring to see his work and what he was able to do. That's awesome. No, I think again, I've mentioned before, like I think I'm just starting to expand now into other genres. I've always been a horror guy through and through, and I'm so glad I am because it's pushing me. It is expanding my dynamic range as a filmmaker, and I'm really glad that I did it because if I stayed in just the horror lens, like again, like I think the pull to getting into horror when you first start out as like a filmmaker is like it's forgiving, and I don't want to say it's easy. Like that's not fair to say. Like I hear people say that, and I don't like that, but like it is more forgiving. You know, it's like if you mess up a scene, you can bury it in sound design. You can add a hit or a riser or something and kind of fight your way out of it.
If anything, it's harder to sell. It's harder to like
To do
sell
good.
horror.
Yeah, you can do it, but to do it good. Exactly. No, I agree with that. But it's like, so I think that's the appeal. And I've always kind of had that safety net where I never had to just like put myself out there. And now it's like working on some of these other projects, it's like you start to realize how valuable and important the words and the inflection and every little detail in the script are. So I'm glad to see that you are pushing yourself and doing that because I think right off the bat, what I noticed about your work is two things. I love the music that you choose. Like you always pick this like fast, upbeat, like good, like it just hits right. Like it felt really good. And then all your cinema, not all of your cinematography, I shouldn't say that, but a portion of what I saw, like you don't just push into a door. You like little sideways action, nice little swing. Like
Yeah.
everything has like that anime inspired, like nice driven forward motion. It makes sense. It fits your pacing really nice. I think with new filmmakers, when I see their stuff, honestly, most filmmakers, when I see their stuff, my issue is usually with their pacing.
Yeah.
I thought your pacing was spot on everything that I
Thank
saw.
you.
I'm still working on pacing. Like that's not an easy thing to do, but I just really felt like every scene that I saw in Mercy was like it held the right amount of time. It held my attention. It drew me in. It pulled me in. And again, the sound design I thought was really good too. The actress that you used,
Yeah.
you had mentioned earlier when we were talking. Did you say this was her first project to you?
Yeah, that's Laura Terry. We did an audition where we like got a lot of people to play Mercy and then the guy at the end, Avery, because I wanted them to like just mesh together. So we were trying to pick out casting. And Laura, that was her first time, but like she's one of our friends that we hang out with. And me and my producer, Ren Scythe, she was like, well, what if we just like have her read? Let's just have her read and I know she's gonna be nervous, but like if she's got the look for Mercy, like in your head, when you describe it to me, you're describing Laura. And so let's just see if we can work with her. And I sat her down and I've never done an audition before. So I sat her down with the script and I had her read. And then I did this thing that I saw on YouTube on how to cast people. And I was like, can you do this again, but in a different way, more manipulative or more A, B, C? And she took feedback really well. And it was just really nice to work with someone who was still figuring it out too, because you don't feel like you're like, because sometimes when I'm working with like actors who are really well known or like really used to this, like they're immediately like, all right, yep, let's go. And I like sitting down and talking to an actor for a little bit. Especially like that last scene in Mercy. Fun fact, it's like we had to reshoot the final scene because we broke this one red vial. And if you want any advice for filmmaking, don't bring one prop to a closed set. You're gonna break it and you're gonna need something else. So we broke this one red vial and I was like, I gotta reshoot it next weekend. And when we went back next weekend, we had 3 people on set. It was 2 actors and my producer and me. And I was holding the camera. And I think that's where we got Laura's best acting because Laura didn't have the pressure of everyone else around her. And it was nice to get those nice intimate moments, especially for the end of the movie. And yeah, I really respect like anyone I work with because they're not professional actors, not getting paid for this. They're just hitting and trying as hard as they can because they respect my vision, which that means a lot to me. And I try to like pump them up too. Another thing that I do for actors that I really like to do is whenever I'm writing a short film, I will make a Spotify playlist. And it's not music of a score per se. It's music I associate with the movie. I don't know if you use like TikTok or Instagram Reels a lot.
I don't do.
Yeah.
I just started the TikTok just to try to like push out
It's
content, but
tough.
I won't use it or like
Yeah.
pay attention to it.
Well, there's a huge culture in TikTok called like edits where people edit to movies they like. And in my head, I'm like, okay, if I'm a fan of this movie, how am I gonna make an edit to this? So even though Mercy's a horror movie, and you'd think, oh, you should listen to horror music, I listen to a lot of punk music making Mercy. I was listening to a lot of just like heavy thrash music, and that helped me. Like you were saying with the pacing works so well if you're listening to music thinking about your movie because then you can like think of those cuts, think of those every little moments. And that helps with characters too because when we were making Battle Angel, I was like, I need to describe to Summer O'Neill, who was playing Belle, the main like anime protagonist, what type of like mood you need to be in. So I sent her like Bad Romance by Hailstorm, and I was like drive this into your head. Like, what does this song mean to you? You as the character love this song, and I think that's really important. And I think actors really like that. They really like hearing the music because they get the vibe more. And it's all about the vibe. It's all about the vibe because if the vibe is off and the actors are perceiving the film in a different way than you are, then it can clash a little bit. And I don't like clashing with my actors. I like everyone being on like the same like tonal page.
It's fun, man. Chris was right when he said we're similar in a lot of ways. Music to me, I mean, the score, the atmosphere, the feeling, it's the most important thing because like I had mentioned, like audio truly is like that's what makes your short, that's what makes your feature. Sound design is everything, and I do the same exact thing. It's an audio playlist, and it's like for me, it's not about the song, it's about the tone, it's about the vibe, it's about what it makes me feel inside. Like,
Yes.
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's like this rom-com, man. If anybody ever saw the playlist to this, you'd be like, "What the hell?" It's a lot of Chet Faker, to be honest, but
Chet
like,
Faker.
dude, I
Yeah.
love that dude. He's got a great music video too.
Yeah.
There's these girls on roller skates.
Yeah.
Completely go off on a side tangent on that, but like
Yeah.
phenomenal. Check it out if you haven't ever seen it. But yeah, it's like same thing. Like when I wrote this project that I'm working on now with the witches and stuff. Like I'll be honest, I listened to a lot of Marilyn Manson. Like he
I
kind
could
of
see that
he
when
fit the
I
style.
watched it. I
Yeah,
could
like it
definitely
fit the
see that.
style. It just it worked out right. But it was like when I write, I have to have that music. When I shoot live stuff, like I'll go film like wrestling events or whatnot. I have headphones in, and even though it's like I'm shooting in the camera, everything I'm doing is motivated by the music. Like I could put like Rage Against the Machine on any of their discography and just play it all night long and never even skip a song. And it's like it helps me with my emotion and my movement and and that's not even like the same type of narrative work like filmmaking, you know, but it's like that's how important music is. It pulls everything together. It's like the sound, it is again, I don't know. I guess you could argue is sound or is light the most important thing, right? Because without light, you don't have any image. You have to have some sort of image, but sound is just so unforgiving. You have to have good quality sound. The music, the score, that is also about the quality of sound.
I I would say it's less is it sound or light? Is it sound or camera movement? I because in my opinion, the way you punch in for a shot, the way you frame something, the way you move the camera is far more important than how it's lit. Because like shaky cam, for all the gripes I have with shaky cam, like found footage movies, they have that aesthetic for a reason, and that's what I try to do whenever I'm imitating or I'm paying homage to like a certain genre, like with Where At Thou with the rom-com. I was really inspired by Kevin Smith, and Kevin Smith's cinematography is really different from what I love, which is Guillermo del Toro and Sam Raimi, which not sweeping shots. If anything, it's like cowboy shot up, and then you just put it on a tripod and you act. Because I play Silent Bob in my short film, so I have to be acting in the movie, and it felt so weird to like have camera movements like that. But I think, yeah, the way you frame a shot is far more important than lighting, than acting, than all those other things. Because if you can get the emotion or get the shot you want, and I think that's the beauty of like silent films too. And then you have the music underneath, then you have a movie. That's all that is. It's framing and sound.
The movement is music in motion in a way too. I agree with what you said, but you started off by saying that you think camera motion's the most important thing, but then you ended up saying like motion.
Yeah, framing.
I framing. So I agree with you, but the thing that makes me not disagree, but I guess I would challenge you on is I would say that camera movement is always very important, except then when you watch House of Cards and that camera never moves and everything is
Yeah.
motivated by everything that happens on frame, but it's the framing. So you're right. You're not, but you see, again, I'm not disagreeing with you, but it's like, I guess I would just expand my thought process on that and just be like, all right, so it's, yes, the camera movement's important, but it's about the whole thing. And again, the music ties into the motion and everything. It's like, I don't know, man, I've said this before and it's like super cheesy, but like music is like the closest thing that we have to magic, right? Like music is something that you can hear it and it can pull you back years ago to a certain time, a certain moment. It could make you happy. It could make you like, what has that kind of control or power over us? Like music,
Yeah.
you know, it's so important. So you did a great job on all the music I heard. I think you have a good vibe and a good understanding. It's like it's action packed, it's driven, it's motivated, and yeah, no, it seemed good. So, what are you working on now? You got any future
Oh,
projects coming up?
yeah. So right now I have my senior thesis is kind of like my last hurrah because I kind of realized that the way I produce films is kind of I save up all my money and then I like blow it on I have like two internships and then I have like a job during the summer and then I save it all up and then I release two short films and I go like crazy on it. And that's like my main like focus on it. And I realize I have to get a job, I have to move out of my parents' house, you know, the economy, blah blah blah. That this is the last time I can really go all out on my movies because I'm a very like when I write and you can see in all my movies I like to go all out. So this is my last all out. It's an action movie. It's inspired by like action movies I grew up loving, like the John Wick movies, like Rush Hour, a lot of Hong Kong cinema that I really love, and it takes place in this future world where like assassins are like the most prolific profession. They're as almost like as popular as celebrities, and this one woman, she's trying to marry her wife, and she's trying to break out of that system, and she gets pulled back in and forced to live with this old retiree hitman. So it's a very John Wick movie. We're doing a lot of crazy stunts. We're doing a lot of crazy lighting setups. It's just me going like all out. It's my like El Mariachi. If we're using the Robert Rodriguez like metaphor, it's my last like I love action movies and this is my love to action. So right now I'm GoFundMe raising money for it. We already hit like $500, which is insane.
Nice.
Which is
Link in the description below, so
thank
go over and support it
um
and fund it.
I don't have a name for it yet, which is frustrating because I always whenever I write a script, I always come up with a name first, and I don't have a name for it. But if you like, you know, Bullet Train, if you like Cowboy Bebop the anime for people who like anime, um, yeah, donate to the movie. I'll have it done by April, I think. So we'll film it in March. I'll edit it and then I'll release it in April. I like quick turnarounds. I don't like lingering on stuff.
I'm the same way, and again, I've been mentioning it, but I'm to the point now where it's like I'm getting really interested in like what could I shoot in a day or what could I shoot in a weekend? You know, getting people down, and I'm even going to start setting up some things. I'd love to have you down and do one too, where it's like get a few people together at like 9 or 10 in the morning and be like, all right, guys, 5 hours. Let's write for an hour and then let's shoot whatever we can the rest of the day, and then like we can obviously edit after that, but like capture what you can in that day and see what you can come up with. You know, it's like I really like again, like you mentioned a lot, like you're pushing yourself, you're trying bigger lighting and bigger this. That's I'm proud of you for doing that. Like I hope that's not weird for me to say,
No,
but like
no.
I think it's there. How many movies do we have where like teenagers go into the woods, right? Like that's fine and it's cool, but like we're to the point now where truly like something different is what we're craving. It's what we want. And it's like I said it in the last podcast, like fortune favors the brave. So like be brave, be bold, take your shots, do those things. You said that this is like your last hurrah as you know it now. You're somebody that's passionate about this. Like I I just see you sticking with this. So as you know it now,
Yeah.
in the future you may have to do things differently, but I can't imagine that this is going to be
Oh,
like
no, this isn't like my
yeah.
last. I think I'll go into like
Well, in the way you meant, like
yeah.
with your full vigor behind it, you're going to fall into the real world and things are going to change, but like Yeah, your schedule changes, but your drive won't. So you'll have to figure out like the difference on that. But I think you're going to push through and persevere through that.
Thank
So I
you.
wouldn't stress or worry about that one bit.
Thank you so much. It
Oh, no
means
worries.
that means a lot to me. It's definitely tough because I'm in that senior year of like college where I'm like, what do I do now? I don't know what to do. Um,
Yeah.
and it's kind of scary, but it's nice knowing because I've heard a lot of people be like, no, you should keep going. And I'm like, yeah, I'll obviously make like small movies and I'll probably help more people make movies than like, make stuff myself. But I think this is the way I've been moving for the past 5 years and the way I've just been keep moving forward in this kind of it's kind of I don't know if you've seen Marty Supreme. It's grind set. It's TikTok grind set. It's it's kind of a little unhealthy and I'm realizing that like at this last year and I think this is like the last way if I make movies again after it will be in a different way than I do it now because a lot of the time it's just I grab a camera, we got get actors, point shoot, let's go like you're saying. And speaking of which, I think you would love 48-hour film challenges. I hate
I
48-hour
haven't
film
done one yet, but
challenges.
I'd do one. Yeah.
They have them in mass. If you guys are interested, you literally they dig out they have like 10 locations set, right? And um you get you get like a list of things in a hat and you pull out a number and you pull out an object. And you get those two things and they're like make a short film in 48 hours. You have to write it, direct it and edit it in 48 hours and you have to submit it. And that people who have done that have told me it is the most stressful thing of their life, but it is so you get that euphoric feeling that you're craving, that quick editing, that quick stress, but then you create something so beautiful.
That's
So
just how I work.
I think genuinely if or put a 48-hour film challenge on yourself and then
Yeah.
document it. I think that's so beautiful. But I also think it's like um with creatives, you gotta have, especially if you're an independent creative, you gotta have this weird balance of you have to put your restrictions on yourself, and but you also have to give yourself pause. Um, I think a perfect example is the rom com I made in 1 week, in exactly 1 week. So Sunday I wrote the script, and then that next Saturday we shot it. I got all the casting together, we got all of it sorted out, and then I released it on Valentine's Day. So this was like 9 days before Valentine's Day. And also this it also tied with the East Hampton film release, the film festival submission date. So I
Nice.
released that and that was the most stressful like week of my life because I was like, "Oh shoot, I don't know why I did this to myself," but it's this weird give and take that like with Mercy I was trying to get it done by I started filming October 1st and I was like, "I'm going to get it done by Halloween." And I got really sick the week before Halloween and I couldn't put out the movie. And I was heartbroken about it because I'd always put these pressures on myself. And then I realized that, maybe some space is good. Some breather is good. You don't have to be always going. And that's why I said like this is gonna be like maybe my last one before I take like a solid break, is because the stress is while it's really good and you get great ideas, after 5 years of it, it gets a little draining. Look at me. I sound like super old, even though I'm like 23, 22. It's like, it's really, I don't know. It's definitely something where you got to find that balance as a creative. You can't slack off all the time and just like say, oh, I make movies and then not make any movie. But you also don't want to push yourself to limits where you're hurting yourself and the people around you. It's really tough.
I'm a big person that like imposes limits, harsh
Yeah.
limits on myself too. I think part of my ADHD, it's taken me a long time to learn it though, but like that's where I thrive though. I do thrive under pressure. Like I think that's what attracted me to being like a paramedic firefighter. Like I do, it is stressful to be on set, but again, like I delivered babies and ran into burning buildings.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, again, not trying to like flex on that, but like that
No, it's
was
a
like
weird
that.
dichotomy. I get
That,
what you
yeah,
mean.
that was like truly like, I mean, you want to talk about a level of stress that like I couldn't even comprehend until I was in those situations. And it's like, I don't know. Weirdly enough, for me, I think that's what's different from me and a lot of people. Like when I'm on set, like, yes, it's chaotic and there's a lot going on, but like internally, like that's where I'm truly the calmest
Yeah.
because it's like I trust the process at this point. It's like I'm to the point now where I'd first start off shooting things and it was just kind of like, I'm going to try to do the right stuff and hope that my project ends up good at the end because I couldn't visualize it out. I didn't have enough skill to see it through. Now, I've been behind that camera so much. I've color corrected so much. I've done my workflow so much that like I know what it's going to look like. So I'm dialed now. So it's like I can do things, I can be a little bit more daring and try things, but like I've got faith and I know that like if I stick to my foundations when I come back, I'm gonna have something that I'm at least happy with.
Yeah.
What I need to start doing, and you're inspiring me, is like I need to be a little bit more bold.
Yeah.
In my last short, The Hollow Signal, I tried two things that I wanted to do that were like that next level, and
Yeah.
both of them failed absolutely miserably. Like
I don't think it was that bad. No.
well, it was, no, I'm not like not the whole thing, but like I had this thing that I really wanted to do and it didn't work out. It's tough because effects are different, right? Like it's if you don't do effects, if you don't know how to do effects, like that's where I start to stress with that stuff. Like I've spent all my time in like editing,
Yeah.
camera work and that stuff. We talked earlier when you first got here, like, I'm watching a lot of videos and everybody's talking about Blender and, all these I can't learn that stuff now, man. Like I spent all my time just trying to get like camera work down and stuff. And it's like, I think it's cool that people are implementing this stuff. But for me, it's like, if there was a shot that I made on the computer, but it wasn't really there with my people and like
Yeah.
on set, it doesn't mean the same to me.
And
And
that's
I'm not knocking anybody's work when I say that either. But for me, like I get again, it's that connection.
and that's the big question. What does boldness mean to you? Because in my head, like when I create something like bold, like Battle Angel, right? Boldness to me doesn't start off as this grand announcement. It's not like this, oh, we're going to do this thing. It starts off like with this small creative, I call it creative stacking. You take all the things you're hyper fixated on this month, with the ADHD and stuff. It's like, okay, this month I've been watching a lot of anime. I really like anime. I wrote an anime pilot and I've been watching the movie Constantine with Keanu Reeves in it a lot.
Wow.
And I'm like, I, I'm I'm like, what if we filmed all of this and then on top of that, let's rework Art of Descent, the stuff I learned on Art of Descent because Art of Descent had a lot of visual effects shots. And I was like, what if we did those better in more controlled spaces? And if you watch Battle Angel, it's very Sin City inspired too. So I was like, what if we learned this? And then it just spiraled into a big thing. Or like with Mercy, it was like, okay, I want to learn how to um, do practical effects. I want a team of practical effects artists to make something kind of scary. And then it spiraled into that. Or like even something simple as like a rom-com is like I want to learn how to write better characters. And then that spiraled into where at now. So I guess the point being is like you can't just like go into it and being like, "Oh, I'm going to do something so bold and new and creative," because you're not going to get anywhere doing that. So you have to just look at yourself and be like, "Where am I struggling as an artist? Where is something I'm kind of lacking in?" And let's for this next one, let's add one element to it. Let's add a different color grade. Let's do a different genre. It starts with a small step that leads to a bold idea.
Yes. No, I agree. It's not about blowing up a car. It's about letting when your actor actress does that line or that taken away that you were like, what just happened? But then being like, you know what? Let's go with it. Like it does.
I mean, even then blowing up a car, it's like you can ask yourself, well, I want to blow up a car for this next movie, but what's the point of the short film to lead to the blowing up the car? Do I do a miniature or do I blow up an actual car? How do I do this? Like, and then it's like, do I do VFX? And that kind of gets the creativity going. And then you're like, okay, for this next one, I'm blowing up a car, but I'm using a miniature, and it's going to be a heist movie, or a heist comedy movie.
Yeah.
And that's just ultimately how that springs into fruition. Which now that sounds really fun. I want to blow up a car now. Dang.
I don't have any VFX skills at all, so I can't. So when you had first started talking about what got you into filmmaking and stuff, you had mentioned you were shooting on a phone at one point.
Yes.
What are you currently shooting on? What's your gear?
I'm shooting on a Sony A6400. I think it's like an $800 camera. My dad and my grandfather like pitched in on my like 18th birthday to get me it. It's a really nice like small like pocket camera, and I bought a bunch of Sony E-mount lenses to it. But truly, I don't think it matters what you shoot on. I have friends who go to Westfield State who film on like the old newsroom cameras, and those barely do 1080p, and those still look good. They're still good movies. And it's definitely like what you can work with because the Sony A6400 is not the FX3. It's not the FX30. Like because those are my dream cameras, right? But like knowing your tiny camera from the front to the back really helps in my opinion because I for the longest time I was shooting on S-Log 3, if you guys know Sony. That's like a grading thing when you color grade, and then I realized, oh shoot, the bit rate on these cameras can't register that, so I'm gonna switch to S-Log 2, and my color grade got suddenly so much better. And I think that's like the biggest restriction on me that's ever been around. Like I'm using a brand new camera for this feature film because my professor's like, here, you can just use this, and it's like a Sony like FS like 35 or something. And that shoots like 10-bit color, and I'm color grading. And I'm like, I have so much control. And it's I think it's definitely when you're working with like limited gear, pushing it to its limits and pushing it to how can I get the best looking shot out of this, that to make it look like it was shot on like a black magic or a red. That's when you get those really beautiful shots like in Mercy, like those beautiful like montage scenes, or those the swooping shots, for example. And it also gets you more comfortable into like, cutting corners. Like, cuz I always wanted to buy a gimbal, and I've never used a gimbal for a single one of my movies. And I've just really leaned into the shake of it. So I just push in, or it's definitely really tough. You have to do a lot of things to counteract all the problems of the Sony A6400, but it's so nice when you figure it out. It's so satisfying.
When I had first started, I was exactly the same way. I had the Blackmagic 4K. I had this full rig. Hand follow, focus, all this stuff. I shot handheld. I loved it. I spent years working on my craft because a purposeful shake or motion's not the same thing as somebody holding a camera bad.
That's true.
So I worked on that really hard. Dude, I'm telling you, when I got the RS3 Pro, the gimbal changed my entire workflow, my entire life. Like when we first started, like some of the old ones that came out, they were so finicky, man. Like balancing and trying to deal with them, it just wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
This thing, you get it close, you press self-balance, it does whatever, follow focus built in. Like I just feel like my work is so much cleaner and so much more precise now. Like if I ever want to be dirty with that camera motion, I can get that back anytime I want. I shoot handheld with my 6K all the time to do that. But the professionalism of that, just like, not only that, but like the Blackmagics now, they have there's technically no like in-body stabilization or anything, but once you put it in DaVinci, there's
The image
there's
stabilization.
the
Yeah.
gyro tracking, exactly. So it's like it basically has it. So it smooths your shots out astronomically. I love Sonys. I've never actually owned a Sony. I've shot on Sonys a few times.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think there's nothing better on this planet in low light. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Sonys will outshoot anything in low light. It's not even close. Like, if you're in a spot where you're shooting like an event and the lighting's not great, or you're doing outside like nighttime, like a Sony's where you need to go. There's no question about it. Not my gripes, but I guess what I don't love about Sony is I always feel like their image is very sharp, which I
Yeah.
don't. I've tried different lenses. I tried to dumb it down a little bit. In post, I think you can do a lot to kind of fix that, but I think a lot of people don't. So when I see a lot of Sony footage, I'm always like, "Ooh, it's really sharp."
Yeah.
Which some people love that. That's just preference. So that's not. But I grew up in the day and age of like film, so like I like to see like that roll off and that
Yeah.
just And I think in the color grade, it always seems to lean a little bit more towards blue, and I always had kind of a hard time grading some of that out. But like you mentioned, now it's not about what camera you have. It's your camera is just a tool. It's like an accessory. If I was going to shoot a dark scene, I would use a Sony and I would put it in with my Blackmagic or with red footage. Like I don't think it matters. We can get it so close now where it's like use the right tool for the right job and make it work.
Yeah.
I was talking to you earlier. I should actually say the story, I guess. I had 10 grand in my hand one day, and I was going to buy either a red. They had just come out. I don't remember what that version was. It was like 8 grand. It's the one where if you change color, like, or temperature in the room, you had to like black balance it or something. Like it had this weird issue. Yeah. I almost bought a red because I was like, well, if I buy a red, I'm going to get more jobs because I have a red, and I'll be a better filmmaker because I have a red. Then I really thought about it, and I was like, I could buy a Blackmagic 6K Pro. I could get an Art Series 18 to 35 lens. I could get the RS3 Pro gimbal. Like I got all this stuff, a fog machine, like extra C stands, more audio stuff. The best thing I ever did my entire filmmaking career was not buying a red. A red would not have made a single project or a single thing I've done better in any way, shape, or form ever. ever, ever, ever. You just said in your statement, I'm sorry, like,
Yeah, yeah.
but you just like you where you were like, well, yeah, it's like it's not a black magic or a red. You just put those two cameras side by side. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think a black magic's a red,
No,
but
that's
I
fair.
think they're great.
But
But like,
that's that weird mentality where a lot of I see a lot of filmmakers with a lot of like money. They say exactly what you thought. If I have a red, I'll be a better filmmaker, and that rubs me the wrong way a
it
little bit.
should.
It really because I've always for 5 years I've been filming on this A6400, just like film after film, and the films look better like with time
Because you know that
because I know
camera,
that
you mastered your
and it's
craft, you
so
learned
weird
it.
because it's like I know people who have the nicest gear. They have like a Sony FX3, they have like prime lenses, they have gimbals, they have everything. And their movies, they look like technically they look great, but they kind of look like commercials. You ever see that? They kind of look like they have this like look of too perfect that there's no like creative style. There's no limitation in there to give you like without limitation, we wouldn't have something like Edgar Wright's filmmaking, where he has the crazy like zoom lenses, the crazy movements. We never have Sam Raimi's, drilling his camera into a wheelchair for Evil Dead and pushing it down a hallway. We don't have those beautiful stylistic moments because everyone's so worried about, what color bit is this, what, frames this is. And I want to assure anyone who's like getting into filmmaking it should not matter. I mean, you know, in my opinion, don't film on a phone. Like, I think that advice is kind of crazy because you have to buy so much to make it look good. Get yourself like a good camera, learn it from front to back. I don't even care if you think you know it more. Make 20 movies off on that until it's like falling apart, and then you get a new camera. And that's my take on like on gear. It's because gear YouTube and gear centric stuff is so it's almost like a corner of filmmaking. It's almost exactly like I play guitar a little bit, and that's what the guitar internet is. Guitar YouTube is exactly like that. They're like, yeah, if you own this like Les Paul, you are and this pedal and this amp, you are going to be the greatest musician of all time. And then you remember that like Kurt Cobain wrote all of his songs on like falling apart Fender and these broken instruments. And you can make something, and that's what's so awesome about indie cinema is that you can make stuff that's kind of grungy. Everything that's indie cinema is inherently like grunge music. And you get to make all these beautiful like mistakes. And like you said, on my camera, it's really sharp, but I lean into that sharpness. I lean into it in Battle Angel because I even increase the sharpness in DaVinci because I'm trying to emulate an anime. I love anime and it's very fine lines. It's very hyper stylized. So when people watch that and they see the sharpness of the image, they're like, I can disassociate and be like, this is not reality. This is a world beyond reality. And that's why I think like technical limitations is one of the best things you can work with.
Yeah, no, it in the sharpness in your projects, it definitely adds to the aesthetic and the style of you're going for sure. Without a doubt. Yeah, no, I have a Fuji X-T3 point and shoot camera. I think it's behind me over here. And I've honestly, like, I'll go to conventions or stuff, and I'll bring that with me because I don't want to bring my black magic.
Yeah.
Not one time have I ever shot anything on even that camera and come back and be like, man, why didn't I have my black mat? Like, literally, that
Yeah.
footage looks great. It's when I bought that camera too, I looked at Canons, I looked at Nikons, I looked at all that stuff, but I just really like the color science of the Fuji. I like that like slight. I think the Fuji pairs really well with the Black Magic. Like I can almost mix those two footages and like make them pretty close for the most part. I fell into the Black Magic ecosystem and I fell in love with it. I don't see myself moving for the rest of my filmmaking career. I think if there's somebody new that's getting into it, like when I see people post a question, like you said, the corners of the internet, like, oh, I'm thinking about getting a camera. What camera should I get? If you have to ask what camera you should get, do not buy a new camera because I guarantee you don't even know what here's where you're at with your camera. Here's where your camera's capable of being. Like you haven't mastered it yet. When you're like, hey, my camera won't do this and I need it to do this and it won't do this and I need it to do this and it won't do this and I need it to do this. Yeah. Then you're going to know what camera to get because you're going to know what you need. So when you're just asking random strangers, what camera should I buy?
I'm also way too stubborn about like I can fix it in the camera. So like I'll have like shaky scenes and I'm like, oh, why is it shaky? And the answer is you need to buy a gimbal. And then my response is I'm gonna buy wide angle lenses because if you guys don't know, wide angle lenses make shake a lot clearer. Because if you're using a zoom lens or anything, that's gonna shake a lot more, and people are gonna notice that it's not gonna look good.
It's more
So
jarring.
I have like an 8 millimeter like fisheye lens, and then I have a 16 millimeter lens. I have two wide angle lenses just for the fact that I don't want to buy a gimbal because that's too much money. So I'm a little bit of a snob when it comes to like, oh, I got to work on this. Did you for the Black Magic camera? I was thinking about this now. Did you film like Eddie and the Fireman's Conundrum on that?
Everything on that.
Everything on that.
Everything. Yep.
Because I watched those too.
Actually,
Yeah.
I shot those on the 4K.
Yeah.
Eddie was shot on the 6K. Finnerman's and yeah, those were shot on the 4K. That's what I had back then. Yeah, because we shot Finnerman's all handheld. That entire thing was handheld.
Those close-ups are so nice. Those like punch-ins, especially in Finnerman's Conundrum. It's like the close-up on that on the opening shot of like when he's in the bathtub is so like cathartic and so disorienting that I was like, shoot, I kind of wish a lot of like more of the movie was filmed like that. And I think Eddie's like that too. It's like you can really lean into shake and lean into movement because that's what makes, in my opinion, like what's the film look? The film look is movement. If you want to get the Steven Spielberg look, it is pushing the camera, it is moving it around like crazy. And when the times you did that, that was absolutely beautiful. And I love those two movies.
No, I appreciate that a lot. Well, I'll tell you, I think people that have never been on set and haven't experienced this, this has probably never crossed your mind, but like whether like when I'm filming and in my camera movement, when I'm with an actor or actress, like not to sound weird, but like it's intimate. Like by the end of however many takes you're doing and stuff, like I need to pre-figure out your movements and your mannerisms, and I need to see how you're doing it, and I need to figure out the way I can make you look the absolute best while doing it. And it's like there's a dance, like there's a give and a take, and like when you're keeping your distance, the way you're following, the way you're moving, like it's a really cool thing, you know. And it's like filmmaking, it requires a lot of trust, you know. It's like when you have an actor or actress, like you talk about being vulnerable, right? Like you're around, like you said, there's people on set, you're probably out in public somewhere, people are like walking by, they can see you, they can hear you, and it's like you have to literally pretend in a very serious way at a very high level to be somebody completely different.
That's a rule with me. I have this really specific rule with it's going to be crazy now with like the action movie that I'm doing, but when it comes to like something like stunts and that level of trust, I turn to my actors and I go, I will do anything I'm telling you to do, which is kind of insane. So I've had to like be like, okay, in The Art of Descent, we have this scene where like our protagonist, who's like a student affairs officer investigating this weird art teacher that has tentacles growing out of his back, he like gets thrown to the wall and pages fall down. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this so you can trust in you can have trust in me and I can have trust in you that we can both do this and we'll both get hurt. Or like in Battle Angel, that full fight sequence, I hand choreographed that. And even Where Art Thou, there's a scene in Where Art Thou where like a lady throws a bucket at our main character's head, and it's not that far. In reality, it's like up here to down there, like out of frame. But I even turned to the actor. I was like, if you're not comfortable, we'll figure it out. But you can do it to me. You can throw this bucket at my head because I know that's only fair. And that's that level of trust. It's that level of trust of I won't push you to do anything I wouldn't do. And that's it's a weird specific thing, but that's why I don't really write like a lot of romance in my movies. I mean, I have romance in them, but there's not a lot of kissing. There's not a lot of like intimate scenes because I really respect what intimacy coordinators do. And I really don't want to, and I wouldn't do that if I was an actor. So I don't want my actors doing that. And I think that's so important. And if you verbalize that to your actors, at least they respect me. I hope they do. I think they respect you more knowing that you're in the thick of it with them, you know?
No, I agree 100%. Even in my rom-com, there's no kissing in it because again, it's not, I think two things have to happen. I think number one, I think you have to be able to provide a level of production that warrants crossing that line and like stepping into like those boundaries, right? And it's like, unfortunately, if you're a starting off filmmaker and you've made a few films, like you probably aren't there. Even me, and again, I'm not trying to brag and say I'm in, but like I've been shooting for a few years now, but like me at my level, like I don't know. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it, but I'd have to have the right script, the right person in mind. It would be talked about ahead of times because again, it's like I always want anybody that ever works with me and does anything with me in this realm to like look back and only have fond, positive memories. You never know what's going to happen. Like, you know, my wife and I started watching a little bit of the show Glee, and you start hearing about some of the characters and what happened on that, and like all that. It's like, who knows? Like, I would never want somebody in a spot where it's like you just never know what's going to happen in the future. So like kissing or like smoking, those are the two things I never ask anybody to do because like I think a lot of people, if you're like, hey, I wrote the scene and they're smoking in it, they want to act, they'd like, yeah, I'll do it. But like, if they're not a regular smoker, but now they're going to do it for this scene, like, I don't want to be
Yeah.
responsible for like causing a problem that somebody has in the future because they just wanted to be part. So like, I just don't, if I get rid of those issues, I don't have to deal with them. And I'll tell you, to your point, like you talk a lot about working with limitations. Writing a rom-com where there's no kiss, I don't want to say that's a limitation, but like I would say like romance or sexuality in a rom-com is like the way you could cop out and you don't have to no, like right? Like and horror's got sound design and things like that. There's no nudity, there's no sexuality like in anything. And again, I'm not saying like, well, that's the only way you should write it. I respect anybody's art in the way that they go about it. But I think again, like there's certain things that just let you, okay, well, I gave you the shock value, so I don't have to explain or work on this. Where when you don't have those things, I think you have to be a lot tighter in your storytelling and you know, make it better.
It's a
So.
funny thing you say that. The end of my rom-com, they don't even get together. It's kind of nuts. My dad has this saying that he told me, and it really resonated with me before I wrote any like coming of age movie. He's like, Riley, you can't write a coming of age movie if you're already coming of age. And that really resonated with me because I was like, right, you can't really the best coming of age stories are ones where you can reflect on it. You can reflect growing up. And so when I was writing this short film, the short film is basically this Romeo and Juliet, they meet at a party one night and they have two very different perspectives. Romeo thinks he's the coolest guy at the party. Juliet remembers him as like a drunk like loser. And Romeo like goes to the balcony and is like, hey, I love you. We should like get together and stuff. And in its own weird Gen Z form because college. And it's this scene where at the end where she's like, hey, you're not like a terrible person that I assumed, but you know, don't like I respect the flattery, but this isn't a thing. And they have this mutual understanding of, okay, this just didn't work out. And that's how I feel about when I write about things and in my life or my friends' lives. You know, I don't have enough time and agency I don't have enough space from the situations I was in to completely reflect that. So the film, in case, is now this sense of, well, there is no ending because, you know, no one, like the lesson is learned, but there's nothing you can do about it. And I think having those resolutions, especially in a rom-com, it's kind of like refreshing because you're doing a trope until you're not. And I think that's what's so fun about that. That's what was so fun about writing Where Art Thou is that, and I think that's why a lot of people resonated with it at East Hampton is because it's so there's not a true ending. There's just, you know, our three boy best friends run off into the sunset, literally, like Jay, Silent Bob, and Romeo. They run off into the street at the end of the movie, and I think that's really beautiful. It's just knowing those limitations, not only with like your gear and everything else around you, but knowing your self limitations, especially as a writer, especially as a creative, I think is the best thing you can do because a good artist is a self-aware artist and a self-aware honest is an honest artist, you know?
Yeah, again, you hear a lot of people talk about their work and they're like, oh, you know, this is like the greatest thing. Dude, listen, I'm never going to make the greatest thing ever. I'm going to try to make something better than I made last time. And I'm going to try to make something that we're proud of. And it's like, I don't want to say like people are delusional when they like say some of this about some of their stuff, but it's like, guys, like we can be honest, like we can all grow. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like you say it's perfect, but like I just watched the first 30 seconds of it and I can tell you all the audio issues that I picked out. That's not, you know, it's like, it's stuff like that. And again, we have so much talent in this area that I think that if we start getting the right people together, we start getting the right names out there, we see who has what resources and stuff. I'd be shocked if we don't start putting some really, really cool stuff out like in this area. Did you get a film submitted into the East Hampton Film Festival this year? Did you make submission?
I submitted Battle Angel and Mercy. So I always submit 2 when I go to, East Hampton. So last year I submitted Where Art Thou and Art of Descent, and it's always just a gamble because I wanna see what Chris, like, decides. Because like, it's not Chris will always tell me, he's like, "They're both so good," and, like, "But we had to go with this one because this one's better." But I'm like, "I'm gonna figure out which one you like more." And it's a fun, almost like game. It's like which one's better.
Did you hear back yet this year? Do you know?
We don't hear back till the end of March.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Um, but film festivals are fun. Film festivals, I grew up going to film festivals, and it's weird. It's a very different climate. And I said this on the East Hampton like interview thing, but when I was in Austin going to these film festivals, Netflix is there. You know, people who work for distribution sites are there. These are people with production companies, and they're trying. They're trying so hard to get their names out there. You can feel this slight energy of creative drive, but you feel this sense of like tension. There's this always this tension of like, okay, who has the better film? And that's just how I felt about it. It felt really interesting. But then when you go over here, it's a lot more forgiving. It's a lot more anyone who is interested in making movies should make a movie. And I think that's a really positive thing about this area. There's a lot of talented people, and there's a lot of people who just haven't figured out that they love this yet. That's why I'm a big like advocate for just like don't say you're like a filmmaker. Just make movies, you know? Like just make movies, do whatever you want to do it as much as possible because it's what we love and, you know, it's really fun. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I hear you. This is kind of a loaded question, so if you don't want to answer it, that's fine because it puts you on the spot for a minute, but I always want to like give people a chance to basically shout out anybody that like you've enjoyed working with that helped you out. Like the one thing that I thought was super cool is like you mentioned like your dad was like a big driving force of getting you into this. Like I love that stuff, man. Like I got into so much stuff because like my dad like encouraged me and like pushed me into it. I raced dirt bikes for a bunch of years. I had so much fun doing a lot of different things. And it's like to have support like that, like not everybody has that. So really, like that's something special. And it's like, I'm glad to hear that you have that. But is there anybody else that like really, and again, if he doesn't say your name, if he starts talking about people, like it's not, it's like it's
I'm
tough.
gonna
You're on,
try.
no, you're on the spot and it's like, but like, is there anybody that comes to mind that you're just like, man, like, you know?
Okay. I'm really gonna try really hard. Okay, ready, ready, ready. Sam Horton, my assistant director for Battle Angel. He's awesome. He works a lot. So if you want professional photography, go to him or videography. Evan Morin is another great filmmaker. All of his YouTube videos are movies. They're Indiana Jones movies that he filmed. One of the films, the guy's dangling on a side of a truck. It's insane. My production designer slash producer, Ren Scythe, is awesome. The makeup artist for Mercy Queen of the Undead, Abigail, you're awesome. Hope Harrison, who was in Where Art Thou, I know you want to like do more acting stuff. You're welcome. And Summer O'Neill has been making movies with me ever since I moved to Westfield, and she means a lot because she's an amazing actor and she deserves like so many roles. Joey Calhoun, he has always been like my grip. He is always just like hanging out with me. Nick is awesome. Uh, Shout out Logan. Hi Logan. So many more people. It is hard. You draw a blank when
That's
you
why
want to
I say,
shout out
yeah,
a lot of
right.
people.
And you're gonna go home and you're like, oh my God, I didn't say
Oh
so
my god,
like,
I
and
did
it's
say
gonna
someone.
get
um, Honestly, Chris or Lindsay. Obviously, I hope you have Lindsay on the podcast because Lindsay's
she's already scheduled. She'll be on next week.
yay. But honestly, Chris, because like I went to the first filmmaker meet and greet, and it was after the film festival, and I never submitted anything. I just showed up. I was like 18. I was 18, 19 at the time, and I couldn't even drink. And I was just sitting there, and I was like twiddling my thumbs at this filmmaker meet and greet because I moved from Austin. And he's like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Oh, I make movies, like actually, and like I don't know what I'm doing." And he's like, "Well, submit next time, and then we can like hang out and talk about it." And just getting to know Chris more and asking him for advice on like how to get actors or how to like make my movies better, he has been a huge help. And I think he's the driving force of like what makes this like Western mass like film scene actually happen. And yeah, so shout out Chris. Shout out you for letting me be on here. This is
Oh
awesome.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
man.
like crazy about like movies and stuff.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna even do you one better. When you do your next project, don't schedule it in a time I'm working. I'll let you borrow my gimbal. You can take it out and you don't use it for all your shots, man. But I'm telling you, like, get creative and just like get to use it a little bit. But yeah, no, that's awesome. Again, it's like I think community, it means a lot. That's what we're always gonna harp on here on this podcast because again, it's like I'll try to plug in as many like flash-ins of the people that he had mentioned as I can find. But it's huge, and you hit a lot of people there too. It's like it takes a lot of
There's
people.
too many people. There's way too many
Yeah,
people.
and again, it's like there's so many projects, and again, it goes deep. So it is a loaded question. It's hard to ask that, but no, that was fantastic. Chris is phenomenal. When he was over and before when we did his podcast, before we had filmed, we were watching some of the short that I'm working on. Just the way that he watches it, like he's just got this smile and this love and this admiration for film and cinematography, and it's like it's just so wonderful to see that there's still people that have that. And it's like that's why he started the film fest because he loves film. And it's I don't know. I'm glad to be a part of what he's doing. I hope that this helps out in any way, shape, or form. I hope that the shout outs and I really hope that if people getting to see you, I mean, dude, you got great energy. Seriously, you're like I think very highly of you. Like if anybody's looking to do any work or if anybody wants to throw any money at anything, this right here.
We're also gonna try to put the movie, whatever it's called. I think it's like the action movie I'm putting out my senior thesis into a theater for one day. So make sure to like follow the Instagram wherever I link that, where I announce that. I really want to do that as like the last hurrah. But yeah, I'm really excited for just this big feature film because I've never made a feature film in my life. I This was the first time I wrote anything beyond 10 pages. It's whirlwinding, it's action packed. There's a lot of things that happen. It's just truly, if you like the movie Bullet Train, if you like the movie John Wick, you will really, really like the movie I'm putting out in April. So yeah.
Nice. So let's wrap this up. We're going to finish with two things here. First, what do you need for your project? Are you still casting? Are you pretty much done? You're just looking for funding, or is there anything else that people can help you
We're
with?
like 90% casted. All we're looking for is kind of like our lead. We're still in talks with the lead role. Um, Honestly, the best way anyone can help is funding, or if they just want to help out on set. I get a lot of DMs of being like, "Hey, can I help out on set?" That would help me a lot too. Just like, or anyone if they want to like shoot out gear, or if they want to offer that, that would help a lot. Just genuinely like, or just any like word of mouth support. I think we live in such a weird social media time that the best currency that anyone has is their attention. So if you really liked my ramblings on this, watch the short films I have on Cabbage Boy. On Cabbage Boy, there's the trailer, there's the actual short film, and then there is the behind the scenes video. Watch those. Just like get into my work and see if you like it, Or and whenever I put out the movie, the feature length movie on YouTube, why not give it a watch? I don't ask I don't like asking like money or a lot of things from people. I All I want people to do is watch it and like mess with it and like it. So um if you like my movies, thank you so much and leave a comment. And yeah, that's all I ask is just people like my movies. That's
Nice.
it.
No, I like that a lot. So I guess the last thing we'll end on then is you kind of plugged it a little bit, but where can people find your work? Is there like what platform do
Yeah.
you prefer? Like what's
Um
your hustle?
the big one is YouTube. Go to Cabbage Boy. I know it sounds weird, just cabbage and boy is a picture of me getting like a cabbage thrown at my face like mid hit. You'll see it. If you want to see my like day-to-day updates or like cool test footage that I put out, because I like to do a lot of like photography as well. You can go to Riley_is_cabbage on Instagram. I'm on there a lot. TikTok too, I guess, if you just look up like Cabbage Boy Riley or whatever, mainly because but that TikTok is like kind of insane. Um, that's a side thing too. You can promote like your short films on TikTok and they get a lot of views and it's kind of insane.
I'm gonna plug something for TikTok. My wife just started a TikTok account because we're getting another dog literally a week from today. We're getting a Boston Terrier named Tatum. So she started this channel called Wandering with Tatum. We don't even have this dog yet, and she has 500 followers.
Wow.
I'm like, I've been grinding and hustling. I don't have 500 followers on
No,
this.
no, no. Trust me, trust me. Literally, like edit like a square version of your movie to like to the beat of a song, like for 15 seconds, upload it. I did that for the trailer of Battle Angel, and it got 1 million views and 100,000 likes, and then it led to people watching it.
Wow.
Like literally, like TikTok and Instagram Reels promoting short form, like look up like TikTok edits and how they do that. That really helps. That helps a lot. So that's my biggest
Well,
piece of
let me
advice.
tell you, if you start a new TikTok account, it limits you. I followed one account. Now it blocked me out. I can't follow any other accounts. Yeah, it's like it said for like 9 or 10 days it could block you out because it's like
They suspect you bot.
they want to stop spamming, which I appreciate if I'm being honest. So I'm trying to weather the storm now to see if I can make this account actually do anything or not. But yeah, Riley, it was awesome having you on,
It's
man.
awesome being here,
I
man.
can't wait to see what you do out there. I hope your film gets funded. So again, link in the description below, his YouTube in the description below. Go over, subscribe to the channel. The YouTube is probably the most important thing for me too. I'm glad you mentioned that. If we get 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours in the course of a year, can monetize the channel. It's not a ton of money, but it's like gas money and it helps out and it validates like all the hard work and the stuff that we're doing. So if you appreciate any of the stuff, again, I'm going to use a bunch of clips for the stuff that we talked about over this so people get to see some of your stuff. But I really encourage you, head over to his YouTube, subscribe, like, reach out. He's hungry to work. He wants to make some stuff happen. No, seriously, it's like I appreciate that. There's people that say that they want it, but there's a bunch of henny pennies. They want the credit, but they don't want to put the work into it. You don't strike me like that at all. So I'd love to work on something with you in the future. Maybe we can chat. Maybe we can get something going. But I got some gear. Seriously, we'll see what we can do to help you out with your project too. But go on and support this man. So that's why we're doing this. That's why we're here. So Riley, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Thanks for letting me be here.
All right.
Yeah.
Stay safe. Stay creative.